But today we're pulling back the curtain. We're tearing down the drywall and exposing the dealership industrial complex so you can get the car of your dreams without having to sell your firstborn child. We're talking about how they make their money, why they tried to rob us blind during the pandemic, and whether different business models like Tesla and Rivian are actually going to kill the dealership industry for good. Now, we're about to get into the nitty-gritty. If you want to fast forward to the Ultimate Buyer's Guide, in the chapters below, we actually have it highlighted. Click that link and you'll go right to that part of the video. All right, first things first, we need to go over a little history lesson, because to defeat thy enemy, you must understand thy enemy. Back in the early 20th century, car manufacturers like Ford and GM didn't want the headache of selling cars one by one. They were engineers reinventing the way we built things in the United States. They wanted to build them, paint them black, and ship them. Henry Ford basically looked at America and said, I make the cars, you deal with the people. And honestly, we can't blame Ford for the Chad takeover. This led to the creation of the franchise model. Ford and GM sold the right to sell their cars to independent local businessmen. These local guys took all the financial risk, built the massive showrooms, and handled all of the oily bits like the repairs and servicing. In exchange, they got protection from a brand that was producing the vehicles. Now, fast forward a few decades, and those local businessmen morphed into massive billion-dollar lobbying groups. Every single state in the US has a franchise law that makes it nearly illegal for a manufacturer to sell a car directly to you. This is why you can't just go to Ford.com, click buy now like you're ordering a 12-pack of tube socks from Amazon. The law literally mandates a middleman. That's the system we built for cars. I don't understand why we're doing that.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
Are they useful? Sure. They hold a massive inventory so you could go test drive a truck today rather than waiting 6 months for it to be built. They provide a local place for warranty work. But the useless side, the friction, the let me go check with my manager game, that's the part that feels like a dinosaur waiting for an asteroid. Now, I normally don't like talking about this period, but we got to talk about the dark ages from 2020 to 2023. Because of the massive global chip shortage, inventory basically ceased to exist. Dealers look out at their empty lots and realize that they only had 5 F-150s left and decided to charge $20,000 over MSRP because someone somewhere was desperate enough to pay it. You couldn't buy a basic commuter truck without accidentally paying for the dealership owner's new Malibu wakeboarding boat, which he had to pay a markup too, but you get my point. Now it's 2026 and the K-shaped economy is a very real thing. New vehicle prices have flattened out to around $49,000, but the total cost of ownership, interest rates, insurance, and maintenance is up nearly 30% since the pandemic. Dealers are sweating again. Inventory is piling up. The price pressure index is high and they're being forced to discount just to move the metal. But do not shed a tear for them because selling the cars is actually the least profitable thing that they do. If a dealership was a person, their salary doesn't come from the sticker price. But Carter, where do they get their profit? Well, this is where we introduce the squeeze and the 4 buckets of profit for dealerships. Now, this is a piece of paper divided into 4 quadrants. You have your car price, the down payment, the trade-in value, and all that comes together to get you a monthly payment. Now, this is an ancient psychological warfare tactic. It's designed to completely scramble your brain like an egg on Sunday morning. They want to make sure that you only focus on the monthly payment and have no idea what you're actually paying for, or the fact that that $40,000 car just got turned into a $55,000 car because they extended the lifetime of the loan to 84 months. They're going to have you focus on this number. Now, the trade-in value is another area that they're making a huge margin. They're going to offer you thousands of dollars less than the wholesale value of your trade-in. This is where they make a massive juicy margin after they wash it, slap a shiny sticker on it, and flip it on their used car lot the next week. Now, obviously, each one of these quadrants comes together to get you the monthly payment. If the car price is $40,000, you're putting $4,000 down, you get another $4,000 in your trade-in value. That loan is going to be based off of $32,000. That's where your monthly payment comes in. The games that they could play, though, is add in all the additional features and bells and whistles to keep your monthly payment at what you already indicated was your budget, but now they're extending it out from 60 to 72 to 84 months, basically bringing the total car price up from $40,000 to $55,000 over the term of the loan. All right, now that we've talked about how they make their money on the sales room floor, let's talk about the back end squeeze. Now, this is the finance and insurance office, also known as the money room. When you go in the back end office to sign papers, you're facing the final boss of dealerships, all right? This is where the real profit happens. And this is also when your wallet magically leaves your body and watches the rest of the transaction happen from the ceiling. One of the least transparent things that they do are interest rate markups, also known as your yield spread premium. Let's say your credit is flawless and the bank offers the dealer a 5% rate for you. The dealer turns around and tells you that you are qualified for a 7% rate. They literally pocket that 2% difference for the lifetime of the loan. Now, this is a legally sanctioned lockdown and they don't have to disclose what the rate that they're getting is. And then you have the crowd favorite extended warranties. They might buy a warranty policy from a third party for $1,200 and sell it to you for $3,500. And they sell it to you by looking you dead in the eye and acting like your transmission is a ticking time bomb. The engine is probably going to explode. This thing isn't going to last very long. Someone's probably going to steal it and break into it and do some bad things to it. These are all literal conversations that I've had over the years on someone trying to sell me extended warranty on a car that I just bought that they just told me is the most amazing car they've ever seen that is going to last the lifetime of me owning it. I remember negotiating with a dealership on one of the first cars I ever purchased, a Hyundai Tiburon, and the guy was selling me on how great it is, how it's going to last for 200,000 miles. And then the second we go into the finance room, they look at me dead in the eye and they're like, oh, but you should definitely get that extended warranty, like in case something happens. It's like, dude, you just told me how great it is, but now you're telling me that it's actually a piece of crap. What is it and why do I need this extended warranty? To be fair, I did end up buying it. It was another time. And ended up running that car into a guardrail. So didn't really need the extended warranty, but I had it in case something did go wrong. And then you got overpriced gap insurance. Now, gap insurance is super important if you put zero money down. If you can imagine, you buy a $50,000 vehicle, the second you drive it out the lot, it's going to be worth $45,000. That $5,000 gap, if you were to get into an accident, isn't covered by insurance because they're going to give you what the fair market value of the vehicle is. So this gap covers that difference if you put zero money down. But dealers will charge you anywhere from $800 to $1,000 for it. You could usually call your own auto insurance provider and get it added to your policy for the price of a cheap cheeseburger a month. This is why the finance and insurance room can account for anywhere from 30 to 50% of a dealership's entire profit. They bring you into the room, make sure that everything is packaged together in a monthly payment that you are comfortable with, but you have no idea what all the additional line items that they're making their money on. Bucket number 3 is the service department. Ideally, a dealership wants the profit from the service bays to cover 100% of the entire building's operating cost. Every time you go in for a basic oil change and they find a leaky gasket, or they tell you that you desperately need a $200 cabin air filter, this is the lifeblood of the business. And it's no wonder that going in for an oil change results in leaving with a printout that looks like a terminal medical diagnosis. And then last but not least, you got bucket number 4, the manufacturer staircase. Now, manufacturers give dealers volume bonuses. For example, if a dealership has a quota of 100 units and they sell 99 trucks in a month, they get $0 extra dollars. But if they sell 100 trucks, the manufacturer might cut them a massive check for $200,000 or more, retroactive to every car sold that month. This is why you hear stories about walking into the lot at 8 p.m. on the 31st of the month and the dealership ends up selling a car to you at a massive loss just to hit their magic number. So is the model dead? Enter the disruptors. Now, before you click away from this video, because we're going to talk about EVs for a second, let's talk about the business model of Tesla and Rivian. They're both the biggest threats to the old school boys club of dealerships. They use a direct-to-consumer model, which means you have no dealers, no haggling. You buy it on your phone while sitting on the toilet, and 2 weeks later, a brand new car or truck shows up at your house. They keep 100% of the profit, and it almost seems suspicious. Like, wait, no one fought me? Did I win? Who won? Where am I? What is this car? But of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and Rivian is currently struggling with its service infrastructure. Since they don't have 3,000 local dealerships scattered across the country, if your R1S breaks an axle in rural Montana, you are gonna have some troubles trying to get that thing fixed. And then there's used car companies like Carvana. Now, they tried to turn car buying into a giant literal vending machine experience. Now, this worked for a while, but then they struggled with the unpredictability of the used car market and the massive soul-crushing cost of logistics. Now, the middle ground and something that I'm really looking at closely is the agency model, where companies like Mercedes and BMW are currently testing this in Europe. The price is strictly fixed by the manufacturer, so there's no markups. What you see is what you get. And the dealer just acts as a physical delivery agent for a flat fee. It's the future, but the American dealer groups are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that this doesn't happen in the great old US of A. And now we come to the part of the video that you've all been waiting for, the ultimate buyer's playbook. Now, until the system completely changes, you need to go to war, all right? You have to be a car buying gladiator. And here's your step-by-step playbook to counter every single squeeze tactic and get the absolute best price. That is a Carter guarantee, which is worthless. But it might be worth something, I don't know. Step 1, secure outside financing before you even step foot into that dealership. Make sure you get pre-approved for a loan from a local credit union, which typically gives you the best rates. It turns you into a cash buyer in their eyes, and the dealer completely strips away the F&I guy's ability to mark up your interest rate. The dealer will desperately try to beat your credit union's rate, and if they can, great. If not, use your own bank. The next strategy is negotiate the out-the-door price only. Never, ever answer the question, what do you want your monthly payment to be? Because if a dealer knows your monthly budget, then they could stretch the loan term from 48 to 60 to 72, 84, 120, maybe 1,000 months to make sure it fits within your budget. You must insist on negotiating the final out the door price only, period, end, stop. That's it. Out the door price. Walk away if they try and tell you otherwise. Strategy number 3 is to isolate the transactions. Do not let them mix the math. Treat the car, the trade-in, and the financing as 3 separate business deals. Deal 1, negotiate the out-the-door pricing. Deal 2, once that price is locked, introduce your trade-in. And as a pro tip, you should definitely get it appraised by CarMax or get an offer from Carvana so you have the dealer at least match it. The next strategy, albeit is not the most effective, is the email bidding war. Instead of spending your entire Saturday drinking bad coffee in a showroom, email the internet sales managers of 10 different dealerships within a 100-mile radius. Ask for their absolute best out-the-door pricing on a specific stock number. Then take the lowest offer, email it to the other 9 dealers, and make them race to the bottom for your business. The next strategy is to audit the itemized buyer's order. Before you sign a single piece of paper, demand an itemized breakdown. You're going to pay the state taxes, the title, the registration, and a reasonable documentation fee. But you need to refuse the prep fees, the destination markups, especially if it's already on the window sticker, and remove all the add-ons. If they refuse to remove something like a $299 window tint fee, tell them to discount the actual car by the $299 to offset it. Which brings us to our last strategy, and albeit probably the most important. You have to be willing to walk away. Now, the ultimate leverage that you have is your feet. And if the dealer is playing games, hiding fees, or using high-pressure tactics, you got to stand up and walk out. 9 times out of 10, that final offer will miraculously get $2,000 cheaper the precise moment your hand touches the glass door handle. Now, walking away is hard. It hurts. It feels like you're losing, but I guarantee you it feels better than knowing that you paid $5,000 more than you should have. So the biggest question that I've been asking myself creating this video is, do we actually need dealerships? Now, if you want a physical place to touch the leather, a highly trained tech to fix your complicated sensors, and someone to take your beat up trade-in on the spot, then yes, there's a place and a time for them. But the way that they operate has to change. The days of market adjustments and 4-hour finance hostage situations are numbered. I think the dealerships of the future are going to be way more point and click. You already know the options that you want. And if you've ever been to a Tesla or Rivian dealership, you go in, you see the different models, and then you order it on the spot. It's a really simple process that I don't understand why the other brands haven't jumped on it. I mean, I do understand it's like a legal thing and there's a ton of lobbyists and tons of employees of these dealerships, but I think the consumers are really missing out on saving money, saving time, and making sure that they actually get the car that they want. And so what do you think? Have you had a catastrophic dealership horror story recently, or did you actually find a unicorn dealer that treated you like a real human being? You got to let me know in the comments. I'll leave a couple of my favorite ones in the comments as well, because there are some good dealerships out there that actually give you really straightforward pricing and work with you to get you the car that you want. But for every good one, there's definitely a couple bad ones. Now, if you want to bypass the dealership altogether and want to win a Ford 4x4 vehicle, we're giving you the chance to win a Toyota Sequoia MDC USA trailer and $50,000 at Ford's4x4.com. Simply make a purchase in our shop and you're automatically entered to win, or become a member for $12.95. You're going to get 15 entries every single month. You remember to win one of our world-class off-roading and overlanding rigs.